I'm blaming you for this, Davius. I've recorded this video reply to you about, I don't know, 4 or 5 times. I've tried to edit it in various ways to try and get what I want to say across. And I'm just going to have another go now. It's the standard of your question that's the pain. It's such an important question. It feels ridiculous for me to even try to answer it. The question being, if scientists won't address the fundamental question of why do we exist, although I'm paraphrasing your question, Davius, if scientists won't address that question, doesn't that leave a gap which organised religion and various mystical beliefs can exploit and use to their own advantage? And is that gap dangerous? Well, of course, you know I think that gap's very, very dangerous, especially now, in the modern era. We don't want Stone Age minds pushing 21st century red buttons now, do we? It's such a bloody hard question. Scientists, when they think about why are we here, they think about it in terms of simple cause and effect. That's as far as they go. That's the end of the issue as far as they're concerned. Simple physical cause and effect. When the believer asks why are we here, they're asking essentially out of a desire for purpose and meaning. So it's 2 totally different questions and essentially 2 different gaps. One is a gap of knowledge. That particular gap used to be a wide chasm, and science has gradually whittled it down. I mean, it's whittled it down quite a lot in the last century, and it shows every prospect of whittling it down further in future. But I don't think they're going to get to an understanding of the actual moment of the Big Bang and the cause of the Big Bang for some considerable time. So we're stuck with that gap. And then we have the gap of belief and meaning, which the believers focus on. Obviously there is a relationship between the 2 gaps. They look at the fact that science cannot answer why the universe exists, and they look into that hole in the ground and they see a God on a cross or Muhammad taking dictation from Allah, or at least they think they see that. It's obviously very complex. The priests of all the different types of religions flock to the gap in the hole in the ground, and they gather as many people around it as they can, certainly as many children as they can get their grasping hands on, and they throw them into the hole. Not everyone is thrown in. Some people dive in headlong quite willingly, but for the most part it's young children, and I hate that. On a side issue, in my country, the government has abdicated its responsibility for the education of hundreds of thousands of children and handed it over to the more cost-effective means, the most cost-effective schools, which are of course faith-based schools, which will teach the kids so many lies that it's almost like the government has fed the children into an intellectual meat grinder, and it's not a step forward. You're going to ask me for a solution, or my best guess, and this is the thing that I've been thinking about for about 4 days. I don't know what the solution is. Whatever solution I come up with would be seen as radical, because I think a radical solution would be required. The one that I tend to lean towards is teaching children, well, getting some extra subjects into school. critical thinking and philosophy. Started off really basic as soon as the kids get to school, and follow it through all the way through schooling. Teach them in that class specifically and consistently how easily fooled the human mind is, and how willing it is to be fooled in certain areas, especially where purpose and meaning are the main requirement in any answer that people are looking for. Teach kids to question everything. Their parents, the teachers who are telling them to question everything. Teach them how it's done. I believe it can be done because somewhere along the lines I picked up that information, as I think you did, and obviously many other people have. We are immunized against anyone trying to push us into the hole in the ground, and we need to immunize more people, and by that really I mean the children. Although kids get to school already with a religious disposition given to them by their loving parents, and they are loving, that's the tragedy of it, although they come to school heavily influenced by their parents, that doesn't last very long. There comes a point where peer group pressure is more powerful even than parental pressure. So if we can get enough kids to think rationally and to debate in the playground and after school with their more religiously inclined friends, perhaps we can wear it down. I'm not saying teach children atheism, I'm saying teach children to question everything, to teach them that adults lie, that adults have been lied to quite successfully and will perpetuate those lies, rather like a game of Chinese whispers. Teach them the history of religion, basic psychology, not psychology the subject, but applied psychology when it comes to trying to spot a piece of bullshit. There's enough out there for us to practice on every day. So that's my solution, education. If I were dictator of the world, I would end faith-based schools. I would remove the subject of religious education from school, because having that as a subject in school gives it a value which it doesn't deserve, gives it respect that it doesn't deserve. I would cover religion in history classes. I wouldn't want to erase religion from the history books. It's an important part of our past. We need to know about it. But I wouldn't teach it as a separate subject, because it isn't a subject. It's a problem, as far as I'm concerned. Now, the wonderful thing about the gap is I wouldn't do away with the gap. I like the gap. I'm a fan of the gap. Long live the gap, as far as I'm concerned, because as long as that gap's there, and it will be there for the foreseeable future, possibly forever, the thing I like about that gap is it will always mean we live in a cosmic mystery. We will never know all the answers. I think that's infinitely preferable. Just my opinion, and the opinion of Richard Feynman, who you quote, that it's better to have those mysteries. There's nothing fearful about them. They're a joy. You know, as I said in a recent PM to someone, I'd have a universal greeting at school for children on their first day. I think I've said this before. You know, hi kids, guess what? We live in a cosmic mystery. Our universe popped into existence 13,000 million years ago, and nobody knows why. Let's start learning. A massive overhaul of the way we do education. Education isn't just about making economies strong, it's about making the citizens of a country immune to bullshit.